prayer that has the effect of making other people around us drive that same way. That's why so many road ragers attract other road ragers, and there'll be, in California, they regularly have a shootout going down the freeway.
Oh dear, yeah.
Yeah, so
please leave me out of that one.
But you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We have an unconscious influence on other people. People walk back and we say, God, look how skinny that person is. Well, that person's walking by us, and they're probably feeling pretty good about themselves. And they come by us, and they go, oh, I'm kind of uncomfortable in my body. It feels like I'm too skinny.
Mm-hmm.
It's a direct influence on people that we have. So whatever we model has the act of pulling everybody into that same way of life.
This stuff that you're talking about, comments that come out of the blue, they're all unconscious, because if they were conscious, people wouldn't have done it in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all still semi-unconscious. All these insights are yet to be fully embraced and have an impact on the structure of society.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, no, I just mentioned that, James, because we have such a tendency to become the judge and start blaming and use guilt and shame, and we use it against ourselves as well, toward other people. And there's forgiveness really has a place here, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure. Forgiveness and honesty, and it's always a control drama to get a feeling of superiority when you correct your children.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all shouldn't be doing that, and that's why people feel shamed, because that's what you're giving them, shame. But if you give authentic, loving advice,
ooh,
the best parents give authentic, loving advice with an example or two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do with each other as well. Just that.
Oh, my boy's going to love this broadcast. You heard what James said?
Well,
give it a shot, Dad. Okay.
Well, we're talking about the things we're all learning to do.
Yeah.
This power of prayer is why it's so important to move from negativity to positivity in your life, because it's not just you. It's not just for you you're doing it. It's for everybody you deal with. Because if you're angry, sullen, mad, feeling abused, feeling this or that, you're bringing everybody around you into that condition. So it's not somebody else's fault that you're feeling that. There's never a reason to be happy. It's a choice to be happy, loving, spiritual. You're doing it for mankind, for history, for your children. We just have to realize that there's a big, kind of scale in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody who's depressed, angry, hateful is on one side, and everybody who's loving, light, kind, wanting to be helpful is on the other side of that scale.
Mm-hmm.
And if too many people move into fear, like it's happening during this financial collapse, then you're going backwards in terms of the spiritual mission on this planet. So those of us who know better get on the light side of that scale, or we're going to backslide here in history. And there are a lot of political ramifications to what I just said.
Well, yeah, I would imagine there is. However, there's the first insight again, where that unrest and that instability, people can use that to latch back on to this process.
That's right. And that's what we talked about a little bit. And I think that's exactly the way we have to look at it. That's the silver lining.
Mm-hmm.
The things are crashing, it's kind of a mixture of government malfeasance and Wall Street greed that that collapsed the financial system, and it's never come back. They're all just putting Band-Aids on it for this whole time. And this is a transition. The old way of doing the economy, doing your personal finances, the old way of trying to make money in the world is crashing of its own bad karma out there. Mm-hmm. And there's no other way to survive even, much less be happy and joyful, which is what you get, than coming into this spiritual way of life that we're discovering and I'm describing. It's almost like you have to if you want to survive and get anywhere and feel good and peaceful in life. You can't play in that old reality anymore. You have to adopt these attitudes and these intentions that we've been talking about. It's the collapse of the old is forcing us to move into the new, mm-hmm. and that's the silver lining that I see.
Okay, and then this would bring us into the 12th insight, which is the final download.
The final download is to move into a place where in the end it's just one consciousness, mm-hmm. and you download the rest of this spiritual intelligence, and you realize that it's a connection with the divine within yourself fully. Okay? In other words, we are the divine walking in this world. So, it's the model that Jesus brought to light in the world. Mm-hmm. You have to make the whole download. You have to live as not artificially, pretentiously being a saint. You have to really be a saint if you want the whole download. And, and all that means is that you live it fully, and it feels. You get a feeling. You get part of that consciousness is being connected with the divine, the larger divine in the world. And you're never alone. That's just something that you feel. So you're a larger self walking in this, and you're bringing a presence with you. Every time you walk into a room, the room lights up with the presence as you bring it into this room. So it's not just that we're seeking to remind ourselves to be, giving, and as we walk into a room, we want everybody to, we want to speak and be in interaction with their higher self, and we want to be a positive influence that lifts them into a higher self. We don't have to think about that anymore because we feel the presence, and the presence walks in the room with us.
There seems to be a humility attached to that, like a very full, transparent person walking into the room, allowing everything to happen, allowing this spirituality, this connection with the divine, and very frail, not frail. How would I say it? It's a very openly vulnerable decision to be this way.
Yeah. And I don't like the word vulnerability because I like just surrendering to the flow of everything.
Okay. That sounds more romantic.
Vulnerability.
Anyway. Thank you.
Is a fearful thing. But that's what we use. We use that being vulnerable means being sensitive to others and sensitive to the growth within ourselves. And we get it, But I like just being in the flow of service.
Flow of
what
service.
I mean? If you're only thinking about how you can help whatever room you walk into, how can I help these people? What can I say? I mean, when I'm seeking this, we're all always just seeking it, right, at this point. But when I seek that, I try to practice that whenever I go do a workshop or speech. And that is, I remember to do it. That's the first thing. You have to remember to be doing this. Get into the presence, and take it into that room. And you'll be given I never say the same thing to a group. I never know what I'm going to say to a group.
Well, James, I just want to say that we're coming up to the end of the program. And fortunately, we did cover all 12 insights. And before we go ahead and close, do you have any synopsis for all 12 insights?
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. I really want to reiterate with the listener that these steps, these archetypes, these downloads, as you would call them, they're experiential. So it's just not about the knowledge of how things work in our minds, and it's also the download of a higher consciousness of it. And that consciousness feels like we started off with a certain amount of certainty and level of functioning, and all of a sudden through steps, we've gotten to a place where we're feel like we have more mastery over the world. We have more spiritual input. In other words, we can go to that place of connection and thus get a feeling of peace when things are not peaceful around us. We can count on intuitive help and guidance, and those are knowings. It's a knowingness that is a new consciousness of how to operate in the world, and a new level of consciousness of operating. So that being said, we can say also that it is eminently provable to oneself. All you have to do is practice the changes in reaction and orientation, the changes in mindset of all these steps to see that it brings a more miraculous kind of life to you. The world is designed to operate that way, and all we have to do is get in it. It's always provable that it works. You become aware of more synchronicities. You become aware of guidance within you that gives you impetus and a mental image of things to do at proper time in order for this intuitive flow to keep going. And all the rest of the insights are about how to maximize that flow and maximize your influence on the world in a positive way, hence your particular mission unfolds for you in this planet, which you will eventually recognize that, hey, that's what I was prepared to do in my early life or in my intuitions, and I can now do consciously and let that flow happen. So this is not just a bunch of points about spirituality. This is not the ego sort of list. It is about downloading these as a new consciousness and let them build on themselves. So, that's the main point. This is something that's real and experienceable for any person in human culture right now. And it just, as we said, I think early on, it's not that any of this is difficult to understand. It's simple to understand. What's difficult is to become mindful enough of our reaction patterns and our fears and our bad habits and our addictions to this and that, to let all that go in favor of the good life and the fulfilling life. And so it's that choice, that commitment to live it for a while, to get the juice, to get the reward after some work of waking up every morning, reminding you how you're taking a new sort of attitude about the world. So that being said, that's it. It's I think it's out there in the world. It's a set of spiritual knowings that has fully entered the world out there. It's just a matter of now how well are we all together going to do this and create a new culture around them.
Well, there you go, listeners. It is it's time for you to make that choice to download the good life. And speaking of that, James, if people want you as a speaker, or if they're interested in one of your workshops, where would they go?
Well, I have a website that if you Google James Redfield, it's all going to come up. We have a global prayer project that's all free that people can join us on every other week. That's a lot of fun. We do a lot of healing and discussion about all this. And, of course, the site has a contact page, and so people can email me or get further information about how I think all this is unfolding.
Well, it is unfolding, and we're just beginning.